What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about XPR network today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. Okay, here we are at about 0.00367 right now on this, the 16th of April. We have about 21 hours left in the new day here. 4 days, 21 hours left in the week. If we're looking at this, it says 22 hours, but I mean, if you look at the day, it's actually closer to 21, so don't let that trip you up. From a relative low here to a relative high, we have pulled back to the 382. Yes, this wick has taken you all the way down below the 0.5, and I think that's something to note, but I think that the February 3rd lows, that's what that is, right? If we look at this, February 3rd, I feel like that promoted a kind of false price action for a lot of different cryptos, and the charts don't really respect these wicks so much. So I'm not going to pay any mind to that necessarily, or I'm not going to pay too much of mind to it. If we're looking at this on a weekly basis, it looks like you've found support at the 382, came back down to break through, but you didn't. You had a bullish engulfing candle after closing below the 382. This is a very positive reaction. This is exactly what you want to see if you are to prevent yourself from going lower, right? I want to see what is XPR's market cap here. Almost said net worth, kind of the same thing, but not technically, no, because you wouldn't be able to realize it. Anyways, $100 million in market cap valuation, that's not bad. Definitely leaves you with a lot of room to grow. Things like this, at this low of a market cap, with this low liquidity, you can see, I mean, man, you can see 100x's, multi-100x's, certainly something that performs on average with the rest of the market at like a 30x or more, but we'll see. And you can definitely go lower as well. But being at a $100 million market cap, I can't help but feel like you're at an area of support rather than an area of resistance. You did just move up, in all fairness, but you closed up above it. So I would think you are, again, at an area of support. We look back here, look at this. You found support here time and time again. We're at the same price now at $100 million in market cap. No wonder you found continued support in this area, right? $100 million is a nice psychological level there. Let's look at what you're doing on the relative here. I'm not going to take this low, but from a high to a low here, finding resistance at the 382, you might go a little bit lower. Yes, 382 to 236. We're seeing this across the board. This is a setup that I feel like a lot of cryptos are getting into right now, and we'll see a couple variations, right? Maybe some will respect the 236 perfectly. We'll go right to the golden ratio. Some might go lower, form a slightly higher low, or even a double bottom or a lower low, something like that. Some might go higher, some might go lower, some might take more time to get to the same place, you know, whatever. But I think that this right now, what you're doing is you're finding support around your $100 million market cap level. Okay, you might go a little bit lower, and that's fine if you do. The 236, based off of this relative fib from the relative high to low here, and not including the February 3rd scam wick, you tipped the 382 perfectly. It's very common to go from here to 236 to find support and continue building. You found support there before. You know, maybe going back in time, you found support there. I don't know. We'd have to go back far in time, wouldn't we? Not too far. Let's see. I mean, kind of. Not all the way through. It's not the most regarded line on the planet, but hey, look, you tipped that right there for support, right? Support in these areas nonetheless. But getting back to the task at hand here, looking at this on a scoped-in level, I would say that you have a little bit lower to go and then higher, right? The RSI rejecting twice off the 60 is not ideal, but as long as you're finding support above the 40, I suppose you're in good shape. If we're looking at this on a 4-hour basis, your 4-hour RSI does look pretty sad. It looks like you want to go lower, but you might not go too much lower. Let's look at this. You know, right now it looks very sad, right? Back here it looked pretty sad. Back here, obviously, it looks sad. Getting below the 50 and just moving down at this pace, that's never a good thing. But whenever you are getting overbought, and you're not getting oversold, you're technically not oversold now even, right? That's not a bad thing. And it could be very volatile, sure, but if you're not even getting oversold, you're maintaining these bullish readings more than you think. And you could even get a little bit oversold and you're fine, right? But just not, you don't want to see deep readings like this, ideally. But you might not. You might find support right at the oversold zone. Again, just implying a slight drop more. You could at some point, you know, this 4-hour candle closes in 1 hour. The next one is open for a full 4 hours. You could go down during that 4-hour period and then come back up by the end of it and close up here. So you might dip into the oversold area, but by the time it closes, it might not actually look like you did that at all. It might just look like you've bounced right off of it. So it just depends on how this goes. But I would expect that soon, from a time perspective and a price perspective, you're going to find support. If I really had to guess, 00356 sounds like a good area. You're at 00367 right now. If not there, a little bit lower. And not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but if I was looking to buy this thing, I think now is a fine price. I mean, this down here is not promised. It really isn't promised. Just because it looks like you would go there and it would make sense that you would go there doesn't mean you have to. I'm wondering what this relative low to high would be. In fact, let's just see here. I think you do though. In fact, I would be surprised if you didn't. So I'm pretty confident. I'm actually very, very confident on this line specifically right there at 00356. I'm very confident that you will, if not go a little bit through it, bounce right off of it. You're going to bounce right off of it, man. If not, you might wick a little bit through it, and that's fine if you do. It probably happens today, this day, the 16th of April. Yeah. 1 hour time frame looking a bit sad as well, but you do have some bullish divergence forming, right? Not enough, though. I think you're just continuing to move down, really, is what you're doing. Okay, so we've talked about the downside. We've got the downside worked out. Let's talk about the upside. Let's talk about where you're going to go. Because to me, on a weekly basis, it almost kind of looks like you have a bull flag. Again, if we take this February 3rd scam wick out of the way, it's almost like you have a bull flag here with the flagpole. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe this whole thing is your flagpole and that's your bull flag. I don't know. Or maybe it's inappropriate entirely because of the scam wick that we have. But we're going to try this here. Let's just take it from this low to this high here and just see if this comes up with any targets that are appropriate for what we're expecting here. From that current price there to where we are. I mean, that's at about a 1.88 cent price. Sure. I mean, that's a good minimum. I doubt that you stop there, but as a bull flag, if it is a bull flag, and it's a pretty damn ugly bull flag if it is, that would be the expected area from a high to a low, relative high here to a low there. That takes you in between the 2272 and the 2618. Normally, with this kind of thought, if you were to stop here, you don't stop here. You continue to the 2618. So I would see this bull flag breakout if it is a bull flag. And see the 1.9 cent price, 1.7 cent price, whatever that is, and raise it to about 2.27 cents. That, in my opinion, is a good minimum, right? Good minimum to have. I actually think that if we're looking at this for what it is, it looks like a giant W pattern, right? It looks like you've got this nice kind of W here coming out. With W's, you tend to progress at a faster pace as things develop more. So you might have an immediate recovery, but I think as this next move comes underway, it'll overall be bigger than what you witnessed here. It'll be a bigger move altogether. And the expectation, I guess, at that rate would be something on the lines of 2.27 cents at a minimum, if not maybe something as high as 8.8 cents for going all the way up here to the 3.618. But I don't think we stop there. I would more think that we do break through this 2618. We probably stop somewhere in the golden zone here. It's technically not a golden zone. It's just colored. It's colored orange, and Bitcoin is the new money, is digital gold. So I called it the golden zone just as it kind of slipped in my head there. But it's more of the orange zone, the orangin zone, the Mandarin zone. 4.45 cents to 3.27 cents is where I think you're going to go. This is the area that I personally am in favor of whenever it comes to a target destination for XPR, whenever it's all said and done here. This is the area that I think we're going to be at by the end of May, by the end of June. From the current price, that's at about an 8.9x to potentially a 12x, 10x kind of potential. We could go higher. Absolutely, we could. The 3618 is tempting us over here at about 8.8 cents. Maybe we complete the thought and see 10 cents, something like that. You could see an overall 26x from here on that level, but I doubt it. You might stop at the 2618 and have a smaller pump than I'm anticipating, and only you would see about a 6x. But again, I doubt it. I think you'll stop somewhere in between, right here in the non-golden zone, the orange zone, the Bitcoin zone, the money zone, that's what I like to call it, at about 3.27 cents to 4.45 cents, somewhere in that zone there, which should provide from the current price of $0.0367 about an 8.7x to an 11.7x, something on that kind of standard there. A little bit lower first, a little bit higher afterwards, and I think again by the end of June, that's whenever you'll see this target that price target achieve maturity. Yeah, that the next move will achieve maturity. Why can't I talk? What's happening to me? XPR being at $100 million, I meant it when I said it. It could definitely do a 100x. $100 million in market cap at 100x standard would give you a $10 billion market cap. And if we were to see $10 billion, it's not a small accomplishment. It's not a small feat to achieve, but we can grow more than that. We have seen coins, even meme coins, let alone projects that have legitimate fundamentals to back them up, and the right kind of narratives. Who knows what this thing has in store in the future? or what, you know, how much the hype will be reflecting around this thing whenever the bull market is really kicking off. But if it gets the right narrative and the right hope, the right hype behind it, driving it, momentum, pushing it higher, we could not only see a $10 billion market cap, but tens of billions of dollars in market cap, which would imply a multi-100x as a potential all-time high for this thing. If we're looking at the overall, I wouldn't say the all-time high, but the high here that started this drop, if we take the overall high to low here, we're finding support at the 382 there too. That's nice. And we project out. I would think that you go anywhere between your 1618 and your 2272. Don't think you're going to see the 2272. That seems, I think that's a bit more than what would be possible here. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see that, right? But the 1618, yeah, that's nice. That's a 221x. And just because it's nice, just because it's a 221x, and I said you could see a multi-100x, doesn't mean it has to happen. But I wouldn't be surprised if you did see 80 cents or even something a little bit above it. I don't generally call for prices to go above the 1618. It's normally here or a little bit lower, if anything, but you don't really go too much above it. But just barely above it is $1. So maybe you reach for $1, but you find resistance just below. Maybe you pierce through it. You could go higher. You could go to 267 or 447. That is the next target area, but I really doubt it. I don't see that happening. I mean, we're talking about a near $75 billion market cap or something over $100 billion by the end of the cycle. And maybe by the end of the, or maybe by the end of next cycle, you could see something like that. But by the end of this cycle, by the end of the year, I don't think so. When is the cycle going to end? Nobody knows. But I think if I had to guess, somewhere in November, not June. June is where the end of this next move is going to be, the end of the cycle, which we're talking about now. That's ideally, I don't know why it would be ideal. It's just what I am expecting to be in November. If I had to guess where your all-time high is going to be, I don't think 267 is appropriate, and I don't think higher than that's appropriate, but sure, maybe 267 could be a maximum target. If I had an all-time high target for the minimum expectation, you know, a 32-cent price, that seems about appropriate for a minimum kind of expectation. I say minimum expectation, but just on the lower end of things. If you look at about a 17-cent price, even that I think is a good minimum expectation. That's a 46, 47x, and that's not, you're not guaranteed to break through this. This is your minimum target, the 1272, and that is a very far distance away. But if you grow at the rate that I think you can grow, I think you will see not just a multi-billion-dollar market cap, but something over tens of billions of dollars. And that would definitely put you above the 1414, right? But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe you find resistance at 32 cents, 35 cents, 40 cents, somewhere in that zone, and you don't even get a 100x, boohoo, but you get like an 80, a 70, a 90x, whatever. Maybe you don't crush 17 cents and you stop right there. But I have a feeling after this next move, we'll know a little bit better what to expect. Because I would expect that if you are up above 4 cents by the end of this next move, by the end of June, I would think that you crush 17 cents by the end of the cycle. And likely will see prices above 32 cents. So 32 cents I think is a good minimum. And then 80 cents is a good expectation. 267 is probably not even a good maximum. Let's throw this, let me rephrase this one more time here, because I know I might be confusing, but for the end of the cycle, I'd like to say the minimum target is 17 cents, which I don't think we stop there. I think we go above there. The maximum target would be 80 cents. And I accept that we could go above there, but I kind of doubt it, right? And whenever I say 80 cents, maybe I should say $1. Let's round that up to $1, but around this area, okay? And then the expected zone by that kind of idea, by that thought, would be something just above 32 cents. With the 1414, it's very common to go just above it. And from here, going just above it would be about a 100x, which again, that would take you to about a $10 billion market cap. And that's a nice psychological level to find resistance at there. So you could. And then just above the 1414, it's pretty common to do as well. Not on a cycle-to-cycle basis. Most cryptos see their 1618s or higher in a cycle-to-cycle basis. But that's a lot of growth you got going on. So if I had to guess, I would think something above 32 cents, but below $1. Yeah, that's my expectation. So I got nothing else to say. Hit the like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I hope that you could keep up with what I was saying there. I know what I was trying to say. I just don't know if I said it in a way that made it coherent for other people to understand what I'm saying. I can get like that at times. But on a daily aspect, I think that we do look like we want to go down just a little bit. You're in a nice area to find support. I would have no problem buying here, but just accept the fact that you probably drop a little bit more, just a little bit though, over the coming day, maybe over the next couple of days. And then going into next week, the end of this week, I think that we're going to grow, continue to grow. If you want to validate the notion that we have found this low here and that we are going higher, just close above 0042. Close above 0.0042. Do that. on a daily basis close above there, you validate your low. You're probably also validating the idea of breaking out of this downtrend here, which I think you've already kind of done actually with this move, but really validating it, pushing through, and that just sets you up for the inevitable new relative highs that you're looking for, if not higher highs. Again, this next move will really help to determine how high we're going by the end of the cycle. If we stop at 3 cents to 4.5 cents, somewhere in there, I think that you've really got a good chance at seeing prices above 32 cents. If you see anything higher than that, you might even have a chance of breaking above $1 or hitting around $1. I shouldn't say have a chance. You'd have a better chance of that. You have a chance even if you stop here, even if you stop below 4 cents, you still have a chance of seeing those prices, but it's a better chance if we see anything that's like at new all-time highs by the end of June. And if you stop anywhere lesser, well, maybe that 17 cent to 32 cent area is a little bit more friendly than I was expecting it to be. But I've got nothing else for you guys. I'm done. I've rambled enough. So hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. And yeah, that's all I got. Bye-bye.